We've declared the meeting opened. And on your behalf, I want to welcome His Excellency and to indicate that we are indeed delighted to have yet another interactive session with you. We thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity, knowing how busy you have been during the past few weeks.
Thank you for this interaction as is constitutionally mandated of the Council of State. Let me thank you very much for the very good counsel you have provided to me over the current year. While it is a constitutional mandate for the Council of State to continue to advise the President, I wish to note that this particular council goes over and above what it is mandated to provide that advice in a timely manner. You do not only wait till we have our normal interactive sessions, but in the course of the year, from time to time, your chairman and the heads of the subcommittees, call on me in the office and raise issues that have come to their attention that are important, that they should discuss with me, and they offer the advice that is needed. I'm always happy to meet with you and drink from your ever-flowing fountains of wisdom. You are all very talented people who have achieved significantly in all your professional areas. Indeed, this council, aside from my normal security briefing, is one of the sources of information that I have from the grassroots, because many of you are rulers, traditional rulers, you are religious leaders, you are, queen mothers, security personnel, indeed a wide gamut of experiences. I'm able to get a lot of information on what the pulse of the nation is coming from the different segments of society. And I think that that has helped me very much in terms of responding to some of the issues that government is challenged with. I also wish to say that you've been very frank with me, and you have told me as it is, without mincing words, when issues come up that require the attention of the executive. And for that, I want to express my appreciation to you. Various issues we've dealt with in our interactive sessions include the economy, include power, governance, sanitation, healthcare, education, and indeed almost everything. And on all these matters, you have had very specific recommendations that you have made to me, which have helped in policy making and in terms of the programs that we are executing as a government. As was rightly said by the chairman, for the past 1 year, we have faced many challenges. And the government has been dealing with these challenges and coming up with instruments to address the challenges that we have faced or any adversities that we have been confronted with. And we've been working very hard to redress many of these situations. The most important that a lot of Ghanaians are paying attention to has been with issues of the economy. I don't need to go through, the issues, the factors that brought us here, but it was a wide combination of factors. One, a wage bill that went out of control and began to take up as much as 73% of total tax revenues, leaving, very little over 27% to address all the other sectors. Then, aside from that, a drop in our international export commodities, cocoa and gold, which also reduced our exports, our revenues coming inward by almost $1.5 billion between 2012 and 2013. Fortunately, cocoa has recovered quite well, and we're getting a very good price for cocoa. But unfortunately, gold still remains very low, and so the amount of money revenue that we get from gold is still very low. Some of the gold mining companies were the highest payers of corporate income taxes. Today that has changed. Their income taxes have gone down because of the reduced level of business. Several mines have been shut because they are no longer profitable because of the low gold price. And so that still remains a challenge. We're seeing an increased revenue from oil as a result of the elevated oil price. It went as high as $110 per barrel. And so in the course of the year, oil, made a significant contribution. But from about late October through November, all of you know what has been happening to the price of crude oil. And so if it continues low, it will affect us on the revenue side in respect of how much money comes into the annual budget funding amount, which we use mostly for capital expenditure. And so we are between the devil and the deep blue sea. Ghana is a producer of oil, but it's also a big importer of oil. And so we're getting relief on the demand side, but then we're being hit on the supply side. And so it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so we'll see how things go. It means that it might translate into lower petroleum prices for us. It also has enabled us to implement the special petroleum levy, which was required by the IMF without a significant increase in petroleum price. But at the same time, it would reduce the amount of money that we are earning in revenue from crude oil that goes into the annual budget funding amount, which we use for capital expenditure under the budget. We're making progress with our negotiations with the IMF, and indeed, it is exactly what it is, negotiations. A lot of the issues that are coming up are issues that we had identified in our homegrown program for fiscal consolidation. And so it's not like the IMF is dictating to us. We ourselves realize that there are certain things we must do to bring the economy back to a state of health. And so we're hoping that early in the year, by the first quarter, we should be able to sign onto an IMF program based on the negotiations and agreements that we have reached together. And we expect that it will be a 3-year program which will take us into the year 2017. And so we're hoping that that program will, one, restore the macroeconomic stability that we need in order to boost growth of the economy, but then also will, in combination with our other multilateral partners like the World Bank and the African Development Bank and our other bilateral partners, see a strong injection of financing to finance our infrastructural development and growth. Because of the debt sustainability, our current debt situation, we're going to look at how we take on loans going into the future so that we don't create a situation of debt distress. And so state-owned enterprises are being encouraged to raise credits for their infrastructural projects on their own balance sheets. And so all of them have been asked to open debt service accounts and on-lending accounts so that when they take any facilities, a certain percentage of their revenues go in there to service those facilities so that it does not become a burden on the central budget. And so all those systems are being put in place in order to cushion the central budget. Happily, as a result of our ongoing interaction with labor, we're seeing a reduction in the wage bill to tax revenues, which is encouraging. And we're going to continue to engage labor so that we come down to the optimum, which is recommended by ECOWAS, of 35% wages to tax revenue. And so we're going to continue to work with labor on that. As you are aware, in the State of the Nation address, I said that if we were to avoid this cyclical, a boom in the economy and then bust later, we must transform the nature of our economy and restructure it so that it stands on more pillars other than just a few selected primary commodities. And we have been working on that, and it's part of government's transformation agenda. I called for increased investments in some of the areas where we have a comparative advantage to produce so that we can reduce the huge foreign exchange that we spend on importing some things that we can produce ourselves. Just recently, I inaugurated the Made in Ghana Committee, steering committee, that is going to lead the campaign for Made in Ghana, procurement and consumption of Made in Ghana goods. And the Ministry of Trade and Industry has got a wide range of stakeholders on that committee, and I believe that we're going to see some, major, change in attitudes to use more goods that are made in Ghana. But we're not just sitting there. We're investing in ensuring that we increase the production of companies involved in made in Ghana goods. The pharmaceutical industry is one. We've disbursed from the Export Development and Agric Investment Fund almost $19 million to the pharmaceutical industries to retool and expand their production. Because if there's one industry that we have a comparative advantage, it is there. And we have mostly Ghanaian enterprises involved in the pharmaceutical industry. If you take the Tombingos and the Dan Adams and NS Chemists, they belong to Ghanaians. And they have invested their monies and on their own, have begun to export drugs and other pharmaceutical products. And so government thought that, look, we should come to their help and enable them to be able to expand their production, because already those companies are exporting to the sub-region, to Burkina Faso, to Niger, to Mali, to Togo, to Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Unfortunately, because of the Ebola, they are having difficulties with their exports to Liberia and Sierra Leone, but still, they're exporting within the sub-region. And so the assistance we gave them have been of very good help, and I'm sure that it's going to see a more vibrant pharmaceutical sector. Aside from that, we've removed the taxes on their raw material imports so that it makes it cheaper for them to bring their raw materials for production. In the poultry sector, we are giving assistance to the poultry companies in order that they can increase their poultry production. And we're reducing imported poultry, because what we're doing is for people who import poultry, you must show evidence that you've bought local poultry before you are given a quota to import local poultry. And that is seeing an increase in sales of poultry in this country. We've invested in rice production, and rice production is increasing. As I said, over the last 2 years, we've seen a 60% increase in local rice production. New seeds are being brought, and they are just of the same quality as any imported rice you can find anywhere. And it's fresher, it's tastier, it's nicer, and Ghanaians are beginning to see that we can also grow rice and eat the rice that we grow. The result of this is the private sector is coming in, and we can see rice mills springing up in various parts of the country. That is because more local rice is available for processing, and they are processing it and feeding the Ghanaian market. And there's even one company that has begun some export of Ghanaian rice. We hope that by 2020, we can become a net exporter of rice. Not that we will stop import of rice, but we'll become a net exporter. It means what we export will exceed what we import, and so we're working on that. Fishing and aquaculture is also ongoing. There's a major initiative to involve the youth in aquaculture, and the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development is doing a very good job in that respect. I said that I was going to take steps to reduce the importation of sugar. The Commander Sugar Factory, which has been defunct for so many years, we have gotten a facility to revamp it. And so we're building a new sugar plant, and we're currently also in the process of processing a loan to expand the production of sugarcane to feed this plant. Energy is one of the major issues, and I'm sure that Dumso has become a part of the